Hey there, grade 6. New video for you guys today. This one focuses on something called congruence. And so by the end, you should be able to identify congruent shapes with an emphasis put on triangles today. And then do something called use equality between corresponding angles and sides to find angles and sides of congruent triangles, which sounds very confusing, but just what it means is to find angles in two different shapes, say two different triangles that are the same size if the shapes are congruent. Anyway, here's where we start. So just a quick introduction on congruent shapes. Congruent shapes have the same size and shape. So basically, if you put one shape on top of the other, they should match exactly, right? Now you might need to flip or turn a shape. That stuff doesn't matter, but you should be able to say, or to put one right on top of the other, regardless of how they're oriented, okay? And so you would have to, turn this one, you'd have to rotate it a little bit to the left, you have to rotate it counterclockwise. This one would need a full half turn so that it fits, but they are congruent, okay? This one you have to flip it over, but again, congruent shapes. Now these two are actually not congruent shapes. There's no way I could turn this around or rotate it or flip it or whatever else so that it's going to fit. I would have to move this square over one spot, right? That's the only way that would become congruent. So again, it would have to be moving this shape. Now that means that they're not congruent, okay? So the only things that matter in congruence are size and shape. And again, position, color, pattern, thickness of line, none of that stuff matters. Okay? So in the shape here, it says which shape is congruent to the top to this shape. We want to know if 1, 2, or 3 is congruent. And let's remember that shading doesn't matter. So we should be able to see that this shape, we'd have to turn it a little bit, but this shape will fit perfectly onto this shape. This shape doesn't work, and this shape doesn't work either. Okay. Now it's really easy to see with those little sort of grid paper diagrams about stuff that's congruent. When we start looking over here, so now we're going to focus in on some triangle stuff. What we can say here is we look at these three triangles and we can say that triangle 1 and triangle 2 are congruent. This one you'd have to flip, or this one depending on your perspective. But this is triangle ABC and this is triangle DEF. So we can say, triangle ABC is equal to triangle DEF. Okay, those are equal, they're congruent. They're like clones of each other. Okay? So it says here that congruent polygons have to have sides that are the same length. Okay, and again, we can use hash marks. We learned yesterday about using hash marks, and so I'm going to do that. So AB, the 7 centimeter one, is the same as EF. Okay, those are both 7 centimeters. AC, which is 5 centimeters, is the same as DF, and then BC is the same as ED. Okay, and so that's how those side lengths are congruent. So we would say then that AB equals EF. We could say that BC equals ED. ED, and then we would say that AC equals DF. That's how we would show the side lengths. Okay. So we've already talked about that one. I can just kind of skip ahead. And then so this one says these, in part 1 and part 2, these triangles are congruent. Mark the equal sides with hash marks. And so again, I would say that EF and HI are the same length. I would say that DF and GI are the same length. And then I would say that DE and GH are the same length. Okay, and it says write which side in one triangle is equal to which side in the other one. So again, I'll just show you an example. I could say that EF equals HI, and that's how we would write that. And when we're working in our books, in our workbooks, that's how we're going to need to show it as well. So then to check that the equal sides of the triangles are identified correctly, again, imagine placing one on top of the other so that the sides match. Then think about for each pair in the previous exercises, what do you need to do with the other angle to get from one to the next? So if we go back to the slide, this one, it will slide on top of the other one. This one, you'd actually have to flip to get onto the other one, okay? Back here, these ones too, you'd have to flip triangle 2, like mirror image triangle 2 to get it to fit properly onto triangle 1, which is fine. That's, again, those things don't matter. We can also talk about angles in congruent polygons or in these triangles that are equal, right? And so the same way we mark side lengths, we can mark the angles that are equal. So angle B is equal to, it's the same as angle E. Angle A is equal to angle F. And then angle C is equal to angle D. And again, we learned yesterday about using these arcs to show which angles are the same size. And so we're marking which angles here are equal. Okay, so if we move on, right, so angle D is going to be equal to angle G. E is going to be equal to angle H. And then F is going to be equal to I. Okay, and we would say angle E equals angle H, angle D equals angle G, and angle F equals angle I. Okay, we're going to skip that one. But that's how you do that stuff. And so that's really all you need to know for this lesson. And so you can take that stuff and you can work on the practice, which is page 106 and 107 in your workbooks. And so I hope that's been helpful and a good refresher on congruence. Hope you guys have a great day, and we'll talk to you soon.